What is going on, Stonebladers? It has been a long time. I recently got to play. I played a lot. Played one day like 12 or 13 matches or so, and I won them all, which is great. Next day, I think I played like 4 or 5, and I lost 2. So my 2 losses were against Dredge and Painter. And ironically enough, there weren't that many matches that were like so amazing that I just had to record, but I wanted to get some content in, and I love playing against Control. This is against Jeskai Control featuring St. Katherine, so we get some content in nevertheless. Always good to do. And let's start it off. I am on the play against an unknown. I didn't know what deck they were on, but here we can go with Volcanic Island and Ponder. What I love about that is that if we don't get Wastelanded, next turn what we can also do is use that for Brainstorm and then this for the shuffle. However, I hate being Wastelanded. I don't like non-basic lands. I am very big on just keeping your mana base, getting your lands, not getting wasted so you can actually play the game, which is a pretty important part of Magic if you ask me. So with that being said, we're going to lead off on Prismatic. We're going to fetch for an island and we're going to Ponder. Then we're going to talk about it as we always do. It's on the stack, it resolves, and this is beautiful, okay? So exactly like this, we don't have a plains, we want that, so it's going to be Plowshares on top, Stoneforge on top of that, and Flooded Strand on top of that. We want to keep Stoneforge second here in case they are playing discard, so like if we put Stoneforge in our hand where we draw it, they can obviously get rid of that because it's probably going to be one of the biggest threats, unless they're worried about Teferi. So exactly how it is, and we're going to be good to go. Can pass the turn. So what are they doing here? I believe it was a Volcanic Island and Ponder. Great. We had a Volcanic as well, but for reasons I talked about, don't like leading on it unless I just have to, right? And I don't like mulliganing either, so sometimes both of those worlds are going to collide where it's like, do I mulligan or do I just play the one Volcanic Island? Probably just playing it, especially with a Ponder, right? So this turn is going to be business as usual. We have our Flooded Strand, we have our Plains, we have our Stoneforge, and then we're going to pass. But before we pass, we're getting Kaldra. So we do have the new equipment to play with. Ironically enough, didn't get to use it a whole lot, and the reason for it is because still, I'm just going for Kaldra. It's so good. Like, it's one of those, like, they have to answer, otherwise they're in trouble. And it's great against anything. It's great against combo, it's great against fast decks, it's great against slow decks. So make them remove it to get that extra card up. You know what I mean? So there's Cryptic Coat. I think it's great later on, and there are definitely going to be games where you know it's going longer, but plus I have a Brainstorm too, which really incentivizes me to get Kaldra because I can always shuffle it away if I find a shuffle effect. So I'm going with Kaldra. That's a big reason why I haven't gotten to just use Coat as much, is because Kaldra is still my go-to. Batterskull is going to be a little bit later game, maybe mid-game, maybe I'm feeling the pressure. I'm like, all right, I'm a little low on life. We got to get that up. So that's when I'm pretty much getting Batterskull, or some other obvious reason like in Dredge, you want to just return it to your hand to remove their bridges. All right, so that's good. We got a card up. And what do we have here? All right, and speaking of Batterskull, so this is an interesting one here. We have an amazing hand to Brainstorm shuffle away, but if we don't get a shuffle effect, it's not that great. Like, we could Brainstorm. If we miss, we could play a Volcanic Island, Ponder, shuffle, but I think we can get much better value out of that. So if you Brainstormed here looking for a shuffle effect, I certainly wouldn't fault you, but what I chose to do is go with Ponder. Now, we could also just play a land and go with Teferi, but I don't like that as much because I don't have any, I don't have a Force of Will, I don't have Spell Pierce, so I just want to get my hand going a little bit better, so I'm going with Ponder here. Plus, I could find a force, and this is actually really good because we found the shuffle effect. Despite the fact we have 2 of our equipments, what I want to do here is go with, it doesn't really matter as much, but what I would probably do here, I'm not sure if I did it, because I'm just thinking about if they countered, if they forced a willed Stoneforge, then we would get the cards next. So if this was done properly, would I want a snap over a Narset next? So I'm thinking it would be snap on the bottom, Narset, and then Stoneforge. Okay, perfect. Because Narset is a house, you know, against them. So probably going with Mountain here. Perfect. And see, this is another bonus of Coat. You notice how I had both of my equipments? I can still get that value out of it, which I really like. So that is a tiny bonus when it comes to the Cryptic Coat. Having 3 equipments, if you play a control role, if you're constantly just playing Stoneforges, which you probably should, whether or not you're really playing into control or not, I think that's going to come up a good amount of times. So that's just an extra free card instead of Stoneforge being a little squire. So they know about these 2 here. They don't know about Batterskull because we drew that this turn, right? Yeah. So what do they have here? Teferi's kind of annoying, but that just means we can play Stoneforge again. At that time, we wouldn't get any equipment. All right, so this is perfect. It's turn 3. They played a land. Stoneforge is going to stick. This is just going to die from Kaldra, so that's perfect. So what do they have here? They have a Force of Will. Good to know. It's a good thing bringing in equipment isn't casting a spell, so... What do we have here? All right, that's cool. Let's see. I think I'm just going with... We have... Let's see. We're going to have 2 mana left over. Probably just Volk. And then, let's see. What do we want to do in terms of tapping? Probably going to be Mountain and Plains. There we go. And we have Kaldra. And we're attacking Narset here. Okay. Try not to click too fast. I do that so many times where I'll click through and just it goes crazy. All right, so they still have that Force of Will, something to keep in mind. So they don't know about Batterskull. And if needed, I can Lórien Revealed here at the end of turn. Just trying to think of like, do I want more mana? I am also getting closer to using it. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Once again, we are up a card again, so that's good. Here, I think I might have gone with Brainstorm, just simply for the fact that, you know, if I want to get rid of this, I can. If I want to get rid of this, I can. So I may or may not have. I don't remember. Okay, that makes sense. We can also shuffle with Lórien, depending on what we see here. Actually, these cards are really good. So in this case, I don't want to Stoneforge, and everything else I really like, because Spell Pierce... It's like the one way to fight anything that they're playing, unless, you know, they draw more lands, but definitely want to keep that. So I'd say Stoneforge on top and just, you know, anything else, because I believe I'm going to be drawing it. What was that, Batterskull? Yeah. I do want that, because they don't know about that, which is good. So here what I want to do, I want to make sure that I have mana up to be able to play, let's see, to bring in, Batterskull. So here what I believe I'm doing, I'm going to be fetching for a Plains, and then using Plains, you know, Mountain, and like this to cast Teferi. So that's the reason why I fetched right away. So you want to make sure that you always have the mana up for that. So there we go. So now I can bring in Batterskull, or I can Spell Pierce. And this is perfect. Okay, so Force of Will, pitching Supreme Verdict. So they have a Supreme Verdict in their deck. Good to know. That is perfectly fine. Once again, a 2-for-1. That's the third 2-for-1. Fine by me. And we're not attacking because, you know, I'm probably telegraphing that we might have something in our hand. AKA Batterskull. Actually, they do know about this, so that actually makes it even better. So that's fine. So the not so obvious thing, like I have a Spell Pierce in my hand. I really thought about this one. I don't know about how long, but very quickly I realized that there is probably one better way of doing this. Now we could just flat out Spell Pierce this, and that's going to be that. I don't remember if they played a land. I could probably check in here. It is turn 5, but they probably would have played another land if they were going to, just to get another token out of this. So what I decided to do is actually just let it go. And by doing so, remember, they don't know about Batterskull. I can bring it in, I can block and kill one. They're going to get the Monarch, but then I have a Vigilance creature attacking back with Stoneforge, where I'm going to get it back, and then it's going to be very hard for them to take. So I actually decided to let this one go. And now we have the Surprise Batterskull, and I do have this as well. I'm not bringing that in now, obviously. This is just perfect how it has Vigilance. So block, they can get their one card. And it's not going to be lasting very long. Okay. Enjoy it while it lasts. Cool. Alright, so let's attack with Batterskull. We're going to be playing our land here. Land. So the question is, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did I play Lórien Revealed here? I actually think I didn't. In case for some odd reason they had a lot of removal or whatever it was, I wanted to get in Cryptic Coat, so they could have 2 removals here. I mean, it's less likely, but I just wanted to play to the board and keep as many creatures there. So I believe I didn't play Lórien Revealed. I mean, if you wanted to, I wouldn't fault you for it, but I think plus we get the card, that's a big thing here. So we're just protecting the Monarch, I think, is the main goal right there, instead of just drawing 3. That's perfectly fine. And what do we have here? Perfect. That's an easy Spell Pierce. I'm telling you, Spell Pierce does a lot of work in this match. A lot. And they are not attacking into that. And unfortunately, this is where they conceded, because I was about to bring in Cryptic Coat. From there, you know, I don't know what was going to happen. Well, I was going to attack with this, and True-Name was going to be very hard for them to beat unless they had another Supreme Verdict, or if they had Snap Supreme Verdict. But nevertheless, that was game one. Let's move to the sideboard action, and I'll talk a little bit about what I probably brought in, but let's move on to it. All right, so here we have it. Let's take a look at what we're definitely bringing in. So this card, I think the last time I ever recorded a match showed you the power of this. Any match that's grindy or long, this card is so good. I don't have Rest in Peace in the sideboard anymore, so it can come in even more. There's so many things that we can bring back. When you think about it, now we have, well, in this deck, there's 2 Back to Basics, Cryptic Coat, we have 2 Narsets, 2 True Names, 2 Teferis, 2 Snapcasters, a Dress Down, 4 Stoneforges. And when you think about that, I also bring it in just about any time I bring in any of these. So if we want to bring a Damping Spear, because when you think about it, a lot of the matches where you need these hate pieces, they're usually either getting discarded or destroyed, whatever it's going to be. A lot of times I've noticed that when games go longer, which if you play this more of in a controlling way, it's going to, where it's just another, it's kind of like having a Snapcaster, but you can get those extra pieces back. So with that in mind, this card has been great. You know, is it overkill? Maybe, but I just happen to like it, so I throw it in there. But we're bringing that in. To respect 4th Aerolingus, we're bringing in the Blue Blast. Let's see, we are bringing in the Red Blast. There's nothing I want to Surgical. They don't have Uro. They're not banned. Everything else here don't need. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Back to Basics are coming out. Let's do this. So Back to Basics coming out. These are all excellent. Let's see. Dress Down is coming out. Let's see. So then a good amount of swords, I would say, like maybe 1 or 2, and like maybe a Prismatic Ending. This is kind of like where the last cut, or maybe like 1 Force of Will. Like I always talk about, these types of matches are usually just about making sure that you answer the haymakers, which is why I like having Force of Will. So given the fact they have St. Katherine, I think that's the name of it, right? I'd probably either take out just like 1 Prismatic Ending or 1 more sword. So it would be something like that is what would come out, and this would come in. So everything else, like this deck naturally by itself is really good to be playing up against the Jeskai control or another Stoneforge deck, whatever it's going to be. But that's going to be the breakdown of what would come in, what would come out. Let's go to game number 2. All right, this hand is so good, it's like cheating. You couldn't give me a better hand like this, because we have, I mean, as long as we get some red mana, aside from that, the fact that we have Ponders to look for red mana, we have Spell Pierce for dealing with anything annoying in the beginning game. And the great thing about playing against this deck, their haymakers don't start until 3, like Narset, Teferi, maybe a True Name. I don't think they'd be playing a True Name in that. I don't know, sometimes they do, like the Miracles, Jeskai control list, but this is fantastic. I love this. So we're obviously keeping, opponent kept. First turn, we're pondering off an island, obviously. Unless we draw a Tundra, then maybe it's different. I mean, it just keeps getting better and better. That is perfect. So we don't have to hold up Pierce. Like if I was playing against Beans here, I'm holding up Pierce because that card is just such a ridiculous engine. Now it gets even better. We found what we were looking for. So given the fact I already have a Pyroblast, that's probably going to be on the bottom. And then from there, so bottom Pyroblast, then Hydroblast on top of that, and then Mountain. I'm just like taking in consideration if for some odd reason they had discard. This is what I'm always thinking about. Like when it comes to you have 1 card on top and then you need 2 more. Which one you draw and which one stays on top. Out of any chance they're playing against discard, I usually like to put the land in this situation. There we go. It's just something I think about. Obviously, we know they're not playing discard. Who knows? Maybe they're a maniac and they just want to surgical my Ponder, and then it gets shuffled, and then, you know, who knows? That is another way of something else to think about. Is the top going to get shuffled, or are you going to get discarded? Hey, very similar start. Cool. Both of us played a turn 1 Ponder this game, last game. Did they shuffle? Let's see. Show game log. Chooses to not shuffle. Okay. Hide game log. All right, so if we have a Blue Blast or Hydroblast, so this is how you lose control. You play a Plains, and then you play Stoneforge. Now, I talked about that recently, but they're on the play this time. So next turn, they're going to be going into turn 3. We do not want to tap out when they're going to start playing their haymakers, especially when you consider the power that we have in our hands. So what I want to do here is play a mountain so that I can red elemental blast and then I can hydro or spell pierce. So red here. Like the last thing you want to do is lose because you tapped out and couldn't play any of these. And it looks like they're going to be rolling right into what we have. So here's the question. Do you lead off on red elemental blast or do you lead off on island? So if I just cleanly counter this with either or of these, which one do I want to have left over is what I'm thinking about. And I think that 4th Aer Lingus is one of the most annoying cards out of this deck. So with that in mind, Spell Pierce can get that, Red Blast can't. And I know that I have another Blast coming up, a Red Blast, right? So I'm going with Red Blast here based on all of those decisions. Because a lot of times this is going to come up where you're like, which one do I use it? Is it the Blast or the Spell Pierce? And then you guess wrong, and then you can't counter the card that you want to counter later on in the match. So, this is perfect. Like I said, Spell Pierce is coming up really big. It doesn't matter in this scenario, regardless of which way I did it. Either or would have worked. Like I could have Red Blasted that too as well, right? So let's Spell Pierce this. Remember Spell Pierce countered something previously in the other game, right? I think it was 4th. No, I didn't. I chose to not counter 4th Aer Lingus. It was something else though. Okay, so all right, so let's take a look at this. This is another game of shall I play Stoneforge or shall I hold up counter magic? So if we play Stoneforge, we're obviously tapping planes here, and then it mostly becomes of like, what would I keep up? And in my opinion, it would be Mountain because they haven't played a Mountain yet. Did I say Mountain? Yeah, we would keep up Mountain. They haven't played a Mountain yet, so there's no reason to actually Hydroblast anything. And even if they do play 4th Aer Lingus, that means we'll have a Stoneforge in with Kaldra, and we can do some work that way. So it's not the end of the world here. So that is something I do like. So this is a good time to actually play Stoneforge, even if it's not having all our mana up. We'll at least have a Pyroblast up. So Plains and Island here. And once again, I'm just going with Kaldra, as always. Okay. Oh, it's a miracle. Did they know about that? Oh, they did Ponder. Let's see, it is turn 4. Well, so this must have been after their Ponder, because this was turn 1. That means there's 2 cards on top, so turn 3, turn 2, turn 3, and then this one. Okay, so that was just a natural miracle. You know, I actually thought this card was flying. And it is not. It's just lifelink, okay? Sure. So they're not doing anything else. That's completely fine. What do we have coming up here? So I believe I did want to Ponder here. So did that first. And this is actually really good. Okay, so right off the bat, I don't want True-Name, but eventually I do want Teferi because Teferi can bounce this and then I can always force it if I need to on the way back. Plus this is a good tempo. But given the fact what's in my hand, I want True-Name on top, Teferi on top of that, and I want Force of Will in my hand because what I can always do is play my island, use Island and Plains to bring in Kaldra, and then I'll have the mountain open for Pyroblast, and then I'll have Force of Will backup. So let's go with that exactly how it is. We're not changing it there. Great. And because I thought this had flying is the reason why I just put Kaldra in. Now that I know it doesn't, would I have changed anything? I mean, it's tough to say. They are tapped out of Plains here, which means like if they wanted to Prismatic, if they wanted to Swords it or Prismatic, they have to wait to at least get a hit in. So I don't see it as too aggressive given the fact I know what my hand is and I know what's coming up and I can deal with it. So now the fact that I know it doesn't have flying, would I have still done that when Kaldra can just, stonewall it or whatever? That's fine. We're up a card again. Fine by me. They can gain their 5 back. Such is life. And what do we have here? Okay, I think this might be one of the most obvious counter spells in the world. Let's see. Should I Pyroblast this and keep my 3 cards or do nothing and give them a full 7? That's a tough one. It's a good thing we tapped properly. See, little things like this will lose you the game, and then people will say, oh, this deck's horrible. Like, when they don't realize all of it was on them. It's the micro decisions in Magic, especially with this deck. You need them because it's just not as powerful as a lot of the other decks out there. Yes, a lot of the people are on Reddit. Stoneblade is definitely underpowered because everything else overpowers it. Good. Play better, and then you can win more. That's my little speech about that. And I don't even play a lot either. So anyway, what I want to do here is pretty much bounce this. So let's see. I do want to be able to not do much else here. So let's play a land and let's mountain and island. Let's bounce it. So I can just, what's it called, counter on the way down if needed. Now we can attack. And that's actually really good. I didn't realize how good it was because I thought that it had flying once again. So, so what do they have? Okay, they're brainstorming. Apparently they want to cast it the miracle way, but what they don't realize is it's not going to work out as well. Oh, what do we have here? A Hydroblast. How perfect. Everything is working out oh so perfectly. Yeah, I think what happened is they forgot that Teferi was out, so they couldn't miracle it. So I didn't play a land here, not sure why, but I figured if maybe I found the Brainstorm. And I didn't want to play True-Name because then obviously I can't counter anything. That is completely fine, I don't care about that. Once again, we got a card out of that. I will take it, sure. They probably have St. Katherine in their hand because they forgot that, you know, you can't miracle it. This is perfect. So out of this, let's see, we've already played 2 red blasts. I mean, I could get a Snapcaster blast, but I'm just trying to think of what I would tap here. Obviously, islands, and probably, let's see, it should be plains. I'm just trying to think out loud here. One of these I tapped. There we go. I would have enough for Snap too if, I mean, I wouldn't be drawing it anyway, so I guess that's fine. Ooh, this is great. So ironically enough, this is a time where not a whole lot going on in the graveyard, really at all. I can't even get a fetch land there, so Jace is the very easy pick here. Playing that land because we're going to need it. You got it. I didn't force a will this because I can just bounce it and just go nuts with tempoing them. So let's see. So here we're going to be Narsetting. We're also going to be Jacing. I believe I did Narset first. Yes, because I wanted to see if I got a, what am I looking for? A Swords to Plowshares. So Narset here, once again, that card is such a house against them. We're tapping all our lands that aren't fetchables here, and we're just going to bounce it. And we're attacking for 1. This is a play I make a lot. I think like a lot of people think it's slow playing. It really isn't. I'm playing to my outs. I'm tempoing them, and plus I know I have a refill with Narset where I'm in no rush. Like I know eventually I'm gonna find what I need. It's just like I'm trusting in my deck to be able to do it. And for some odd reason it comes down to it where let's say I play another Narset, I use her twice, and then I have to bounce Jace. He gets down to 1. Then maybe I'll force it, or then I'll like draw 3. It's just. That's just kind of the way I like playing. I know a lot of people would be aggressive here and just forcing it, but I mean, it's just using up all their turn. It's tapping their mana. Like, that's completely fine with me. They're not doing anything here. And what do we get? Alright, cool. Anyway, blue, red for Narset. I'm looking for swords here. I know exactly what I want. Let's keep the good one. Out with the old, in with the new. And what do we have? We found our swords. Don't even really need to look at this all that too much. Let's take our swords. And before I fire it off, I do want to draw 3. I will have more cards in my hand, just why not? So I figured it's give me more selection and options to throw back. So right off the bat here, this, let's see, don't need Scalding Tarn. I wouldn't mind playing a land. So aside from Tarn, Pierce is going to be good. I'd say either Prismatic, possibly, or maybe Brainstorm, just for the fact that, you know, I could Brainstorm already. So I might have done that. I think it was Scalding Tarn and Brainstorm, but if I had to do it again, probably be Scalding Tarn and Prismatic. Okay, that's fine. Let's plow. Oh, and what do you know? Spell Pierce. I think that's the 3rd time I used it. Like I said, Spell Piercing, a Force of Will, where they pitch the card to it, is such a beating. And that's like the 2nd or 3rd time. I know it happens 3 times in this game in terms of Spell Piercing, but that's hard to deal with. And let's attack, because we're getting in that point of damage. Why not? Okay. And we had, was it a Brainstorm, and then like a fetch or something like that. Just cards we didn't want. I just did that now because they have no cards in their hand. I didn't feel like setting a stop. Alright, cool. So There is the option here where you can Narset first or you can Jace first. I think I went with Jace first just to guarantee that I can put back a card. I just wanted that extra card. That's the reason for it. So Jace, excellent. So the cards I don't want here, really Prismatic Ending. I don't have a Teferi in play. If I did, that would be cool. So I'm just throwing both of those back, I believe. Blue cards are helpful here. And now I'm going with Narset just to guarantee that I get the card. And here I might have just taken a Brainstorm. I hope I did. I might have taken a Prismatic Ending because I think we need more blue cards at this time. Okay, perfect. So, I mean, we got a lot going on here. And now I can actually play True-Name. And what do I want to keep up? I have a Snapcaster, so I want to keep red up. If I need a Plains, I can get a Tundra or a Plains there. And they don't have any cards in their hand, which is why I'm doing this all in the beginning. And let's attack. Cool. Sure. Fourth Aerolingus. They're... oh boy. Let's see if they play around Spell Pierce. Just, you know, why not? They've seen it only, what, 2 or 3 times? They didn't. Oh my goodness. Okay. And I believe I fetched there just because let's see. Actually, we did Narset. I forgot I did Narset last. I probably didn't need to fetch there if we had shuffled away, but it didn't matter. I targeted Hydroblast, but I should have targeted Spell Pierce just for the extra, you know, annoyings. This card just destroyed them horribly. Nevertheless, that was a fun one against Jeskai Control. Always fun playing against Control. Stoneblade is I think it's a very big favorite just based upon all the years I've played Stoneblade against a deck like this. When you start going against something like, I haven't played against it yet, but I've watched a lot of like Bosch and Roll. I've watched a lot of Doogs. I know either they're playing it or playing against it, but Up the Beanstalk is a serious engine. That's one deck where it's like, if that deck gets ahead, you're just in very big trouble. I feel like the strategy for that would be counter Up the Beanstalk and just surgical it, and I'm not kidding. Like, because once you take that part of the leg out, what do you have to deal with? You have to deal with Uro. You have to deal with what's it called? Bowmasters. Like, those are the 2 big threats that I can think of, right? So once you do that, they don't get that huge advantage of just drawing an insane amount of cards. But that was this match. I hope you enjoyed it. I might be able to film a few more. Like I said, there weren't any like super amazing games that I was like, oh, I can't wait to show you this one. But I was just like getting content out, and I don't get a lot of time to play nowadays. With my wife and I just had a son, so that'll be that. Maybe I'll see you soon. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll be able to play a little bit more. As you saw, I had rented out the deck. Today is Friday when I am recording this. I think I'm also going to be uploading it today. And tomorrow I might rent out the deck. It might not be Stoneblade. So if in the future you see something else that isn't Stoneblade, be sure to watch it just because I'm going to give you a very different way of looking at a deck. I won't give you the surprise of what it is in case it doesn't happen. But I look forward to creating the content anyway because I have a lot of fun doing this. And I hope you had a lot of fun watching it. That'll be it. Thank you so much for watching. Another one for the good guys, and I'll talk to you soon, hopefully.